This After Effects tutorial is sponsored by iWin Studio. Hey guys, what's up? I am Nikhil from 𝗕𝗏𝗿𝗡𝗠𝑐𝑠.com, and in today's video I'm going to show you guys how to create a modern slideshow animation inside of After Effects. Now the best part about this tutorial is I will not only show you how to create one single slide, but we will also learn how to create multiple different slideshow with a 3D camera animation. So it's going to be super fun, so make sure you stay tuned throughout the video. And if you enjoy this tutorial, make sure you hit that subscribe button and press that bell icon so you always get notified whenever I post a new video. With that said, let's jump into After Effects and get started. Alright, so here we are in After Effects. Let's start by creating a new composition. Let's make this full HD, that is 1920 by 1080. 30 FPS and 10 seconds long. Let's call this comp as our main render comp. And for the background color, I'm gonna go with white. Hit OK. Then let's create a new composition, which is going to be our image placeholder. You can use images or videos, whatever that you want. I'm going to call this media_01, and let's change the width to 1080. So we have a comp size of 1080 by 1080. That's a square composition. Let's use an image. Here I have an image that I downloaded from unsplash.com. I have mentioned the link in the description below to the website. So here we have our image. Let's go back into our render comp, and let's create one more composition, which is going to be a scene. So let's call this sc_01, so short form for scene_01. Hit OK. I'm going to hit Control K and make sure the width is 1920 by 1080. Hit OK. All right, let's drag and drop in our media composition right here. And now I want to create a circle of this composition. So let's select the mask tool, the ellipse tool, and double click. So it's going to create a perfect circle, and that is what I'm looking for. So there you have a circle. I'm going to place this for somewhere around there for now. And let's create one more composition, which is going to be our title. So I'll call this title_01. Hit OK. Then let's select the text tool and type in the text that we want. So I'm going to type in something like modern slideshow. Hit OK. Let's change the color to black, and I'm going to increase the size just like that. Let's set this to 0 and pull this something like this. Now for the first text, I'm going to go with a Barlow light font. Light is a bit too much. Let's go with regular. And for this one, I'll go with a Barlow extra bold. Looks fine. So let's adjust the spacing or kerning a bit. So that is looking pretty good. I'm going to align this into the center. And now we can go ahead and animate our text. Now I think I need to increase the size a little bit just to be on a safer side. I'll increase this and keep it something like that. All right, so let's go ahead and animate our text. Let's go into animate and add a position, and also I'm going to go ahead and add a property of opacity. Let's bring down the position like somewhere around 75. Go into range selector 1, and I'll go to around maybe 1 second and set this to all the way up to 100. That is the offset. Create a keyframe, go back and set this to -100. Then go into advanced properties and change the shape from square to ramp up, and increase the ease low to 100% and ease high to around, let's go something like 25. So now we should have a really nice animation. Now let's change the based on characters to based on words, and also bring down the opacity to 0. So now we have a very nice text animation. Simple and easy. Let's add a tagline as well, or the subtext. So hit Control D to duplicate it. I'll pull this here and let's set this to somewhere around 50. And I'm gonna maybe type in something like trendy. For the font, I will go with Barlow extra bold, and I'm going to place this right over here. We can align this just like so. Let's set this to 0, and I'm going to pull this by 10 frames. So we have something like this. Pretty nice. So our text is ready. Let's go back into scene one, drag and drop in our title composition just like so. So we have something like that. Let's scale this down a bit. So on hit S, scale this down and place it right over here. All right. Now let's create those circles that you saw. It's pretty simple to create. I'm gonna use the ellipse tool and create a new shape. So I'm gonna create a circle, maybe one right over here. And also I'm gonna go into effects and preset, type in fill and use fill to color these circles. So maybe make this something like a nice lime green. I'm gonna place one right here. Let's hit Control D to duplicate it. I'm gonna go place right here. Hit U 2 times to reveal the properties, and you can increase the shape just like so. You place one right over here and give it a different color, something like that. Then let's hit Control D again to duplicate the shape layer. I'm gonna place one right here. Hit U 2 times to reveal the properties, make this really nice and big. And for this one, I'll go with a nice yellowish tone color, muted yellow kind of a color. And finally, I'm going to duplicate this one more time and make this really small like this one, and make this a nice blue color. Now you can see the anchor point is not into the center of these shapes. So to fix this, I'm going to hold Control and double click on the pan behind tool. So all the anchor points are now into the center, so we can animate it. And finally, as an accent, I'm going to add a background text. So I'm going to select the text tool. I'm going to type in hashtag 01. As this is our first scene, you can of course type in anything that you want. I'm going to place this one right here at the back. And for the color, I'll go with a kind of a bluish tone white color. So that is looking pretty good. Our scene is ready. Now we can start animating it into the 3D space. So to do that, first of all, what I'm going to do is animate our mask that we have. So we can animate the expansion of the mask. I'm going to go to around 1 second and 15 frames. Create a keyframe on the expansion. Go at the very start, that is 0 frame, and set this to something like there. And now we have a nice reveal for our image. Then I can animate the shape layers. So I'm going to hit S, create a keyframe on the shape, go back and set them down to 0. So we have a nice and simple animation. And let's go to 2 second and let's animate our background accent text. So I'm going to hit T, create a keyframe. Let's go to 1 second and set this to 0. Now I'm going to hit Control A to select all the layers, hit U one more time to reveal all the keyframes that we created. Select all the keyframes, hit F9 to ease them. Go into the graph editor, right click and make sure you're working in the edit speed graph. Select all of this, and also to make sure you turn on the snapping tool, and then I can just drag the handle holding shift like so. So now we have this really nice animation, as you can see. Pretty nice, but we are not done yet. Now what we need to do is create a new camera. So let's create a new camera. 35 millimeters should be fine. Hit OK. Make sure you turn all the layers into 3D layers, and then right click, create a new null object, which is going to be our camera controller. So I'm going to rename this to cam control. All right, let's align this into the center, and to place the anchor point into the center, I can select the layer, hit Control and double click on the pan behind tool, and then convert this null object to 3D and then parent the camera to this null object. If you don't see this parent option, you can click right over here in this empty area, go into columns and turn on the parent and link option. Pretty simple and straightforward. Now what we can do is adjust the elements into the 3D space. So first of all, I'm going to go into the camera properties, that is the camera options, and turn on the depth of field. Let's increase the aperture to 200 and the blur level to 300. All right, now what we need to do is adjust these elements into 3D space. So first of all, I'm going to select the background text that we have. Let's move the anchor point in the center, hit P and push this back into the Z space. So it has a little bit defocus, so it gets defocused from the camera, and we can hit S and scale this up, make it big like this. Then let's adjust these shapes as well. So I'm gonna select this one, hit P, and pull this closer to the camera so it gets defocused just like so. Let's place it into the position, hit S. Now we can see we have a scale animation, so we can hit U 2 times and adjust the size. So we have something like this, maybe something like 130. So that looks good. And then let's select the smaller one. I'm gonna place this somewhere around there and pull this closer to the camera again so it get defocused, and then we can bring down the size like so. And we can just make a little bit of overlap here. Maybe I'll adjust this a little bit because it's just too much of blur there. So I'm gonna place this one right here. So it adds a bit more depth into our complete scene. I'm going to select the red one, hit P, and push this back into the Z space. I'll make sure it's not goes behind the background accent text that we have. So something like that. Let's select this one. Let's place this again into the position that we want. So yeah, that is looking pretty good. Now we can go ahead and animate our camera. So to do that, first of all, let's go back into our render comp and then drag and drop in the scene one that we created. So you can see we have this animation. Let's go into scene one, copy the cam control and the camera. So hit Control C, hit Control V to paste it here, and then we can hide or turn off the eye of the camera and the null object. And what we're going to do is turn on this collapse transformation that you see here. So now it's going to read the camera outside that composition. So let's go ahead and animate this. I'm going to go to around 2 seconds, select the cam control layer, hit P to bring down the position, create a keyframe, go back, and actually I'm going to go right here so we can see what's happening here, and then pull this scene out of the frame like so. Pretty simple. And then move this keyframe at the very start. So we have something like this. As you can see, we get this really nice parallax as well with the shapes. Now let's select the keyframes, hit F9, go into the graph editor, and again pull this to the left like so. So we have a really nice and smooth animation. Now the camera looks very still. So what I'm going to do is add a simple wiggle expression here. I'm going to hold Alt and click on the stopwatch of the position, type in wiggle, open and close parentheses, and let's use the value of 0.8 comma, let's go something like 20. So now after the animation, we have a little bit of handheld camera movement, which looks very nice. So our first scene is ready. One thing that I want to do is move this title to around 1 second so we can see the animation of our title. So we have something like this. Now our first scene is ready. Now what we have to do is create multiple scenes so we can create a slideshow. Maybe it can be a slideshow of 10 scenes or 20 scenes, whatever that you want. So in order to create multiple scenes, I'm going to show you how to do this now. Before I proceed further with this tutorial, let me tell you about today's sponsor, 𝗏𝗏 Studio. 𝗏𝗏 Studio is a VideoHive author, and they came up with this 1500 plus elements pack, which comes with some amazing transitions and motion graphic elements like titles, lower thirds, social media animations, color grading presets, effects, overlays, and so much more. This pack is available for both After Effects and Premiere Pro. It comes with AtomX extension, which is completely free and allows you to live preview the animation and apply them in a single click. You can also try out their free demo pack to get an idea about this complete package. To know more about this, make sure to check out the link in the description below. Now, getting back to the tutorial. First of all, let's select the scene one. Alright, let's put it into a separate folder. So I'm going to call this scenes. Then select the title one. Put it into a new folder called this titles. Select the media one, put it into a new folder called this media. Alright, now select the scene. Let's duplicate this, hit Ctrl D to duplicate it. Select the title, duplicate it, and select the media placeholder and duplicate it. Alright, now let's go into scene 2 And now what I'm going to do is replace this composition with the new composition that we created. So I'm going to replace the title 1 with title 2. So I'm going to select this, hold alt and drag and drop it. So it's going to replace it. Same for the media as well. Pretty simple. Now we can use a different image here. So I'm going to go into assets folder and let's use this one that we have. Scale this down. So in the scene 2, we have this really nice image, as you can see. Now, in order to change various things, first of all, I'm going to change the text. So I'm going to call this something like, I don't know, call this fresh animation. Let's change this one to like hashtag modern. Then going to scene 2 again. As you can see, it's updated. Now we can change the background text to 02. And then we can change the shape layers, or we can also change the color of these shapes, but I prefer to just move them just like so. We can turn on the camera so we can see how it's going to look in the final scene. I can select this one, maybe move right over here, select this red one, I can move this one right here, something like this. And I can simply just change the colors to just give it a different look. Make this maybe an orange or something, but this one I'll make it a green. Maybe increase the size a little bit and then place it to overlap on this text. This will basically create a movement. This will create a sense of depth. So yeah, that is looking pretty nice. I can also, if I want, I can change the position of this image to whichever place I want, but I'm going to keep it something like this one, something like there. And let's select the shape. I want this shape to overlap this image right here. So scene 2 is ready. Now we can basically just drag and drop our scene 2. So let's say I'll drag and drop it at 4 seconds. I'm going to drag and drop it here. Turn on the collapse transformation. All right, so here we have our scene 2. And now what we need to do is animate our camera. So I'm going to select this, hit U, so we can see the keyframes. Go to 4 seconds. Click on this diamond icon. So it's going to create a keyframe. Go to 6 seconds and let's move this. First of all, hide the scene 1 and let's move this to whichever direction that you want. I'm going to move this right over here. All right, so we have this really nice movement. And then I'm going to select the scene 2, turn this on. And what I'm going to do is right now you cannot see it, right? Because it's animating with this position. So I'm going to move this to the right. Just like so. And we can adjust it depending on the way we want it to look. And this is looking pretty nice. I can jump into this. Maybe I'll change the position of this one to somewhere around there, and change the position of text right here and the position of this shape as well. So somewhere around there. And there we have our movement from scene 1 to scene 2. Pretty simple and easy. So let's preview our animation. So we have our slide 1 and then it goes to slide 2. And using the same method, you can create number of different scenes. You can create up to 10-20 scenes, whatever that you want. You can use a different shape. It's not necessary that you need to use a circle. You can just simply go into this and maybe use a rounded rectangle. I don't know, something like that. And let's just see how it looks. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. I think we can also feather this up to get a different look basically, but I prefer to go with a circle. that looks much more cooler to me. So that is how you can create a very dynamic looking, modern animated slideshow inside of After Effects without using any plugins. And this is the same process that I use while creating templates for 𝗦𝘂𝗽𝗍. By the way, if you don't know, I have 2 𝗦𝘂𝗽𝗍 profiles. I have mentioned the link in the description below where we sell some amazing templates. So I definitely recommend you guys to go ahead and check it out. So that is a wrap for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Till then, take care and always stay raw, stay creative. Peace out.